Yeah.
That's what this morning. If you're looking at our live, his next is Uncle. Uncle is well known, Dr. Lloyd Richardson. Haven't seen him in a while. Doctor, I'll talk to you first.
That's okay. That's okay.
Put your mic on. Let me say good morning to you first. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Millie. How you doing?
Very good, man. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I left in 2016, and but I'm still active around, doing a little practice also, and now taking care of a lot of grandchildren.
I'm about to ask you, what does a retired doctor do?
And I support the family. My father also left us, who was a great family leader here, and so I'm taking up that strain, making sure that everything is right and ready with them, and also giving them great support with regards to education, etc., because my father was also big on that.
Yeah. Well, he's happy to see you though, because you look young and you look like you're still in this thing, man.
I have to support those who support me.
Correct.
Correct. And this is what I'm doing here to make sure that he follows a right track that is not only politically oriented but also people oriented. And also to respect our people, not because you're educated now and you have a certain position and whatnot, that we came here to build this country and not to tear it up.
Correct. You did well politically. You was elected.
Oh, sure. Elected on 2 occasions. Direct. I mean,
You were never a minister, though.
No, I was never a minister.
I always question why you were not a minister.
Well, it had to do with prerequisites that the party set down, because we only have a parliamentary election here, and so it is what the party decides for you to do. The first part of our my political existence here, I was with the National Alliance, and they did the same thing that you have criticized about the PFP, and that if you're elected, no matter how many seats you have, you try to get in government.
Correct.
Okay? And when I tried to get in government, the people who wanted to join with us had the same interest that I had. And so I gave up that interest on the party's side so that I would be, but I had other projects that I wanted to work on. So I told the leader, go ahead. I'm not going to down them for that. And the second, when I remember, we had 7 seats then.
Correct.
And when I went to with UP, we had 7 seats also.
Correct.
And yet, we was out of government once and then back in government and so forth, but they had nobody to put in parliament, the claim, and so.
Well, that's one of the things I miss in the whole political scenario in Sint Maarten. I always ask her why Dr. Lloyd Richardson didn't become a Minister of Health, because that's your field.
That's my field, and that's what I wanted. That's what I negotiated for.
Over to the doctor here with your nephew. What's your name, sir?
My name is.
Put your mic. Put
it on. My name is Luciano Lloyd Nicholls.
All right, Luciano Lloyd Nicholls.
That's correct.
Tell us about yourself. Who are you?
I'm a son of the soil, born and raised right here on Sint Maarten. Born in Soccer Garden. I went to school. Next Soccer Garden man. I went to school at the M. Genevieve the Weaver School in Hope Estate, which used to be the Soccer Garden Primary School. I went on to the Milton Peters College. I finished the Harvard there. After that, I went to the United States and I graduated with a bachelor's degree in physics. I came back home and I started working in the family business. So that was waste management, garbage collection, something that we've been in for years, long before I was born. Gabby sent him to school, sent my mother to school, sent me to school, and so I started work with the family. I also taught for a number of years. I have about 8 years experience teaching as well.
Where did you teach?
So I taught at the University of Sint Maarten. I taught the GD program there, GD Mathematics and Science. And then for the past 4 years, I was at the Milton Peters College and I taught 4th and 5th form physics.
What are you doing presently?
Presently, I am now the policy advisor within the cabinet of the Ministry of the Minister of.
That's what I do right now.
Yeah. That's Minister Patrice Gums. Yes, the Honorable Patrice Gums.
Well, now you're a politician now.
Yeah. For all intents and purposes.
Why are you? First of all, why the PFP? Why did you choose PFP? You drinking water because it's gonna get hot. So
Right.
So let's get dry.
Why did you
Listen,
choose
okay.
PFP?
So I think it was 2019 is when PFP started out. And I won't tell you, Billy D, that I always had aspirations to become a politician. But by following closely in the gentleman next to me,
Correct.
Following in his footsteps, I saw where I could play a role in guiding this nation as they played a role in guiding this nation in the past. But when I took stock of the parties that were the established parties at that time, I didn't see myself in any of those parties. And some of it has to do with Billy, you just spoke about how my uncle was not Minister of Health, and you can imagine myself as a supporter, right? You're supporting him, he's the right man for the job.
So you wonder why he wasn't.
Oh yeah, man. Oh, of course. And then I was like, I don't think they were like-minded individuals, and they saw in me what I at that time didn't see in myself.
Okay.
And so that's the reason why I joined the party.
What did they see in you?
So that's a good question.
Oh, what's in you?
Let's talk about what's in me. So if you look at my education, I remember when I told her what it is I wanted to study. She said, "Who?" She said, "That's a tough one."
Physics.
Yeah, she said that's a tough one.
I would have told you that's your brother too.
But my mother's a biologist.
Yeah. Okay.
He's a chemist.
Yeah, man.
So it's in the blood. Yeah. You understand? So
I'll be honest with you, the only doctor I knew for a long time in Christmas was Dr. Richardson. I didn't know no other doctor.
Yeah, so it tells you that I don't shy away from difficult problems.
Correct.
Okay. I have no problem. There's nothing that I think, and maybe sometimes I'm a detriment, but something there's nothing I think that I cannot do. Yeah. That's one thing. So that's just education. When you look at my professional background, and not just professional background and what I do right now, but all of the knowledge and experience that comes behind me. Yeah. Because I have those advisors behind me too. Correct. That if I don't know something, I am not afraid to ask those that do know. Correct. But I worked in waste management. I have about 9 years working in waste management right now. I also have that education background. My mother was a teacher for 30-something years, and I've been a teacher for 8 years. Yeah. And so all of those different things coming together is what makes me me, and they saw that in me.
How did you put that together today to say that you're running for office? How did you put all that you just said together to say, I put this together, now I'm ready to run for office?
Well, you see, you have to see in where in Sint Maarten you need that expertise most. We have enormous problems with our education system and that's it is almost a global problem right now in terms of education.
I'm happy you said that. I'm cut you on this week. I'm happy you said that, but yet you were successful in your education. Now we have problems, but you were successful.
Correct.
So was it when you were there? We didn't have problem. Is it we have problem now?
No, Billy. We've always had those problems. I am lucky. I'm a lucky individual. Okay. I always say that the difference between me, myself, and the fellow on the block has nothing to do with capability. It has to do with exposure, and it has to do with who is backing you, who is behind you, who is pushing you. Okay? Right. That's something I always had. That's something that they always had coming down from my grandfather.
So then we don't have an education problem. We have a family problem.
That is true. So it is, and I said the problem that we have in Sint Maarten is multifaceted. It's just not one problem. You can't just pinpoint one thing. Education is one, but of course our community is another. Because at the end of the day, it still takes that village to make a child, to raise a child, and that's something that we also see that is sadly lacking here in Sint Maarten. But I always had some plans in my mind on the direction that I wanted to see education move in Sint Maarten, with regards to pushing children along the lines of science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, because I do believe that those are subjects, not because I am a physicist, But I do believe that those are subjects of the future.
Yeah.
Okay, technology is something that is ever changing.
Correct.
Something that we rely on. We sitting down here, people from all around the world are listening to me right now.
Exactly.
And that comes on the back and that framework of technology. And so we must be able to push our children to go down that path. Those are the jobs of tomorrow. You understand? And so I want to see dedicated programs dealing with science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics from the primary school come right up through high school.
You just get a 10 with me there. I want to come back on that because I keep saying that from elementary school today, with technologies those are the jobs of tomorrow.
Correct.
So if we don't do it, this is why we still important people in our country.
Yes.
Reason why we still bringing people to our country because we need to go now to the root now. And teach, the president, and there was a president San Domingo he says by the year 2030, I think, every child in Santo Domingo will be able to use a computer.
Yes.
That's vision.
Yeah.
Why? Because those are the jobs of the future.
Those are the jobs.
How do you plan on bringing that?
So I also want to touch on the fact that we also have to understand before I go into that answer. I want to touch on the fact that it is also a way of bringing in revenue. It is also a way of us having a secondary stream of revenue generation here in Sint Maarten. They have companies that would love to set up satellite companies down here for us to be able to do things like for them to be able to do their technology stuff. And if we can focus on having those people here, then we open up that a new pillar in our economy. That's something I really want to, I would like to put out there. But in terms of how we plan to implement something like this, of course, it starts at the ground level. Okay, there must be a curriculum that is created for STEAM education. That's what we call it: science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. STEAM education.
I never heard that before.
Well, I'm here to tell you today. I'm here to tell you
STEAM
today.
education,
STEAM
science,
education, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics.
Wow.
Okay, and so we have to start with that. It is not simply. It cannot be simply putting technology into schools. It cannot be simply putting smart boards. It cannot simply be putting computers. There is a type of education, a type of curriculum that has to be created for this to become a reality. We're talking about having children learn programming from primary school, simple programming, because it is something that they will use throughout their lives in the future.
Correct.
It is about tying in, because one of the biggest problems that we see right now in terms of education, especially with STEAM education, those STEAM subjects is mathematics. I've noticed that mathematics is sadly lacking.
Not only sadly lacking, it is one of the subjects that is hard to comprehend for a lot of us.
Correct.
So how do we make it easy?
So and one way I'm looking at it is that we have to find a way to make it interesting.
Yeah.
One way to make it interesting, especially from that level, and it serves two purposes, is when you start to tie money into it.
Okay.
Everybody, even kids, know about money. I have a 2-year-old son, right? I have a 2-year-old son. 2-year-old son, and he could tell you every time I open my mouth, he said, "Papa, I want $50."
Yeah.
He's 2. He don't know how 50 look yet, but he know what money is,
Yeah.
And so we start from that age. You're teaching them how to save. You're teaching them how to invest.
Which is not learned in school.
No, but these are life lessons that we need to teach in school.
Correct.
Okay? And all those, and then that ties into mathematics on a whole, ties into arithmetic.
Correct.
And once you build that foundation, Billy, then everything else that is built, once you have a strong foundation, you could put up strong walls on a strong foundation, but you cannot put up strong walls on a foundation that has been destroyed, or that hasn't been built properly. Correct. You understand? Correct. And it's about building that foundation. So that's one way we're looking at being able to bolster mathematics in school by tying in financial studies.
So you're saying as a parliamentarian, you would present it?
Yes, because there, of course, it is a directive that you have to give to the government to look at, and I think there are also some laws that we need to get going, especially when it comes to tertiary education and all those kind of different things. That has been on the books for a long time. I want to see it pushed through. I want to see a Sint Maarten where the University of Sint Maarten is no longer like a night school. It is a day school. It's a full-fledged day school where our students, everybody from Sint Maarten, does not have to pay the exorbitant amounts of money to go away to the United States or go away to Holland or France or whatever, and we are able to produce right here the subjects that we need them to learn, or what they could have learned at another place. They should be able to learn that right here in Sint Maarten.
You know, and that is so interesting, because sometimes we send our children away for not a deep subject that if we bring it home, we could get more production right in Sint Maarten.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact.
Correct.
You know, and I want to say, you said something earlier that I love. A revenue for Sint Maarten.
Yeah.
Let me give you a joke. I had a friend of mine that comes to the States every year for 1 week. And a couple of years ago, he said, I'm coming for a month. I said, but you can't come for a month. I said, because you always come for a week and you go right back. He said, believe today people could work from where they are.
Right where they are.
And they could stay on vacation longer.
Right where they are.
That's a revenue for the country.
Correct.
You imagine you could get people to come instead of saying a week, they say a month.
That's
because
exactly
they work from where they are.
Yeah.
All they need is a computer.
That's it.
That's all they need.
That's it.
That's when you spoke about the money generated.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. But listen, if you come into the school in that field that you're in, I want us to talk more about that, because I believe something is missing from the school from a fundamental age.
Mm-hmm.
Fundamental age. You're sitting next to a doctor. I could count on my fingers how many doctors we produce in Sint Maarten. We should have produced more doctors. I'm going to produce more doctors in Sint Maarten. And we got bigger population. Why is it? It's because of the root.
Yes.
You know?
The type of...
And then what we do to our children, we tell them, why becoming a doctor? As a parent, we say, there's too much money for me, and it's too much of study for you. And we discourage our children from becoming doctors. Doc, I always give you your honors. I think that I love the fact, because doctors is a gift from God. I always say that. Because you got to go through the fine print. Yeah. Continue making us doctors. Continue making us doctors.
And Billy, what I am talking about with STEAM education does just that.
Yeah.
Because what is medicine? Yeah. Medicine is science.
Science.
Its roots are in science. It is a practical science.
Correct.
You understand? And so when we start putting our resources and energy into working on these type of subjects, naturally we'll get more doctors. Naturally we'll get more engineers, more teachers that can teach those subjects. So that's something that I would like to point out too. When Milton Peters and a number of schools asked me to teach for them after I think it was in the year 2020, after I ran the first time, you know, and I was like, wow, what's going on here? But then when you look at how many people they are capable of, that have even tried to study physics and are capable of teaching it, you don't find many Sint Maarteners on Sint Maarten. So that's something that you'll have. The market is there for these people that are these things.
You're the only candidate that I'm speaking to here today that is going back. Let's start back the clock. Let's go back to where we made.
We have to start from the beginning.
We cannot. And I said it the other day. We're running into a wall. We need to go back to what caused us to be here.
Precisely.
In this education.
Precisely.
Yes. In this education. It is a lack of education.
And the type of decorum that we display today.
Correct.
Violence, etc. If they have that base where they learn to respect not only education and the achievement of it, but respect people.
Correct.
With gifts from the master that could be developed not to destroy, but to build.
That's right. That's right. Mm-hmm. You ran the last time.
I ran the last time.
I'm happy to meet you today. I'm really happy.
I ran since the beginning. Since the beginning.
Because I keep saying, and you know, it's two things. It's family and education. Mm-hmm. If we could bring those things, however, you're gonna need money.
Yeah.
And then people tell me holding a finance the idea.
Yes. So there are some avenues that we can look into. But Billy, you know what's amazing to me, and now that I've been I've been in the building, as they say, I'm in the executive branch of government right now.
Correct.
We now see areas where government overspends. So a lot of it isn't necessarily that we always have to generate more to be able to fund things.
We can cut back.
There are things that we shouldn't even be doing, and then we could cut back. Let's look at one of the things that government spends a lot of money on, and my uncle could tell you is healthcare. Spend a lot of money on it.
Well, I don't know if you saw the headline yesterday, and I am happy that the minister is saying she's running an investigation practically to let this kickback from the Colombia issue.
We have to.
Okay. And the minister is convinced that somebody's getting, because we cannot, when I hear we're spending 40 million a year, and that doesn't bother nobody?
No. But, Billy, I always have believed that prevention is better than cure.
Correct.
Okay? So we have to look into preventative methods. Listen, in the Caribbean, diabetes, right? High blood pressure, hypertension. Those are things that are killing our people. Those are things that we spend a lot of money on medication, all that kind of stuff. If we find ways to prevent those things, government would have a lot more money in the coffers that we can turn into. Listen, education is expensive. These programs cost money. We need to move them away from places where they aren't necessarily needed or where we can cut back. You know, because we now have a healthier population and put over here.
How do we legislate on a healthier population? Where do we start?
That's a good question when it comes.
Oh, that is the question. Where do we start when it comes to a healthy population? Because, you know, it is easy to tell a child what to do. But how do you tell an adult?
Okay, so
and this, and Doc is right next to you. I believe that, first of all, cigarettes and alcohol is too accessible to our children.
Definitely.
That's true.
It's too accessible.
Definitely.
You know,
there's no question about it. There's no question about it.
People don't, and doctor, you know, I don't think people know the consequences of drinking regularly or smoking regularly. You know, it's not that I just get drunk. It weakens your heart, it weakens your kidney, it weakens everybody.
Everything.
So how do we put in place, candidate, that structure to prevention is better than cure?
Okay, so when it comes to, you see, it is, and Billy, I will say this, it is very difficult to legislate someone's character. If somebody wants to get those things, no. If somebody wants to get it, they will get it. You know, but of course we can look in. And here's the thing, Billy. If we want to go down this path where we are looking for legislation to be able to make it harder to import these things, we also have to work along with the French side. It cannot be that we do something on the southern end of the island, right? And the French side, everything is open and free. Because then you'll have the same problem. They'll come right over here, they'll purchase what they have to purchase, and here we go again. You know, so it must be a harmonious decision between the two sides. And that's one of the biggest problems that we are facing. You know, another thing is that I would really like to look at the foods and things that we importing into the country. Because, you know, you talk about alcohol and you talk about nicotine and stuff like that. But guess what, Billy? I believe one of the biggest killers is that sugar addiction. Bigger than alcohol. Okay? So we have to look at the products that we bring into Sint Maarten. It is something that the European Union does very well, especially Holland. Okay, if you look at the content of sugar of what is coming in or what they are allowing their population to ingest, right, to take in, it is a lot lower than what happens in America. So we have to look at what is coming into the and that's something that you could legislate.
You know, when I went to Trinidad, because I had my first part of college there, okay, Eric Williams, they had just achieved their independence, and Eric Williams was leading the country with a particular slogan that says, buy local. Okay, so if you buy foods that are not processed or anything like this, they have to be better than, you know, what you're bringing in.
Right.
And if you're producing fruit, but the apples and pears and grapes and stuff that are produced in the north and coming in, and we are buying them expensively because we have to transport them here. Eat your own fruits, because on a large scale they have in all the nutrients that we need as fruit.
Correct.
And let the nice paraphernalia of fruits that come from elsewhere. If people want to buy them, they can buy them. But for local consumption and stuff like this, this is what we are doing. Here is where we are shopping. And all the things that are not good for our health, but just for recreational use and stuff like that, leave that stuff alone and don't promote it.
Correct.
Okay? Yeah. And if you promote it, talk about the dangers of it.
That's right.
That's another thing, really.
So you're championing education, Nicholls?
I championing a few things. So
you just talk about good resolution on education. I love that, because I believe in going back to basics.
Back to the foundation.
I believe if something is wrong, you can't just continue doing it.
Correct.
You need to stop.
There must be a change.
There must be a change. So
correct.
Let's teach what the STEAM is.
STEAM education. Yeah.
I love that. We go back to basic and we do that. What else are you championing?
So Now, Billy, this is something that I didn't realize fully until I got into the position that I'm in right now. You know, and that is how much background I do have in infrastructure and stuff like that right now. You know, we are about to start road resurfacing program. We have a hard surfacing program that's going on right now. And I've sat back and I've looked at what we have done over the years. You know, my family has been instrumental in building a lot of the roads that we see here right now. You know, Wallawa Hill, you have going on Riley Hill, all those type of different places. You know, and so when I take stock of especially what we're doing on the Dutch side right now, you start to see where we've cut corners in the past.
Right.
You know, whether it is how the thickness of our asphalt or us.
But you know why we cut corners?
Of course.
Okay. You know why we cut corners? We cut corners and put it over there.
Correct. Ain't no question about it, Billy. Yeah. But how long are we going to continue cutting corners? How long are we going to continue doing the same thing and expecting a different result?
Correct.
Listen, the biggest problem we have on the Dutch side right now comes to our roads, not only the thickness of the asphalt that we're putting down, but it is also the water that is accumulating on certain roads.
Correct.
Okay? What does that tell you? It tells you you don't have adequate drainage. Why are you resurfacing a road and you're not even looking at the drainage?
Yeah.
Okay? So that's something that I have.
Well, it's easy. That's an easy answer. You know? I gotta cut corners. So
right. Not only that, if I go at it every year,
I good.
I look like I'm doing something right.
Right. But Billy D, okay, if you catch the fellas who are cutting the corners,
yeah,
where you going to put them? In jail, right?
Yeah.
And who's going to pay for them being in jail?
Again.
Yeah,
exactly.
We go run and wrong in circles.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've put in I want the ministry to have a multi-year plan, right? For road maintenance and infrastructure maintenance and infrastructure development. Okay? Because in certain areas,
what do you call a multi-year plan?
So it's not project based. It's not every few years you have a new project. This is a plan to whether it is to make new interest. Maintenance is also, that's one of our biggest problems. Maintenance is also in that as well. You understand? Every year you have X amount of money. This goes to maintaining all of these roads. Every single year. You know exactly what you're doing every single year. You have to look left or right. You know, that's something that we haven't done. Then of course I want us to have what we call like a topographical study or hydrological study. And we're looking at how water is flowing now as opposed to how it did in the past. Yeah. Now, Billy, the old people were good. They understood this country.
They just look at the sun and they could have taken everything through the sun. And
they could see, okay, water moving here, we need a drain here, we need a drain. But what happens when you build? What happens when you put something here, when you put something there? What happens to the water? What happens to the direction the water moves? Yeah. Anything that you do has a consequence. You know, and I said it before on the radio. There is a law in physics that Newton's third law of motion states that for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction.
Correct.
It is true for everything in this world. Okay, what you put in that dictates what you're going to get out. How we have built,
Listen, this goes to Parliament too, and
correct.
What we put in Parliament is
what we're going to get out, and what we have put in Parliament is what we have gotten out. Okay. Right. And so I want to see how water is moving right now, so we know we have strategic places where we can put extra drainage or new drainage that will help us to combat the flooding problems that we have on the side.
Somebody may tell you nearly have to knock down the whole of Phillipsburg.
Well,
be careful, you may have to knock because we are built so bad. You know, and I'm going to say this, Phillipsburg is a capital, right?
Correct.
When you walk on the street, you could break your foot anytime. Man.
Yeah.
I mean, how could we sit as parliamentarians, see the capital look like this and talk about cruise ship, talk about airplane, when you could hardly walk on the street?
Yeah. Yes.
Fix that road first.
Fix it. But that is for the executive branch.
And this is why, the doctor said it earlier, this is why I was mad with PFP. Because now that you're in government, you're seeing so much of thing that could be done. And this is why I never understood why PFP never took a ministry, because they could have taken a ministry.
That is true.
But good, the leader explained me.
Yes,
she said she wanted to take her time. But I said nobody go to government to be in opposition.
True.
Because you don't want to be in opposition, no.
No. We had enough of that.
Okay,
but you know, hindsight is 2020, Billy.
Yeah.
You know, and truth be told, at that time, I cannot say that I would have wanted to be an executive either.
No,
I really wanted that. You have that experience of having your parliamentarians in Parliament, and you get that feedback on how Parliament works. You know, and that inside information. And now that now that we are mature enough, I believe we can really put in a lot of work.
I don't want anybody to feel bad with what I'm about to say, but at some point, education counts.
It has to.
It has to count.
It has to count.
And this is why I keep telling people, you can't put me to operate nobody. I don't know nothing about that. I'm not a doctor.
Correct.
Continue to put the wrong people in the wrong position. Simple as that.
You know,
and you know, your plan, my friend, your plan on education, please, I pray today you're getting it.
Yeah,
because we need to, listen, I keep saying this every day. Technology is the future. The next job that's going to be created is through that. Yeah. If we don't get in that realm today, Sint Maarten is doomed. We're finished. We're finished. And I don't understand. You're the first candidate, I'm serious, that tell me what I want to hear. I want a solution. And you know, it's not too late to start.
No.
It's going to be me to catch up.
But we have to start.
If
we never start, we'll never reach anywhere. Never reach anywhere.
We're going to reach, and all around us today, everything is technology.
Yeah.
My father was a fourth grader, but he ensured that all of his children got education.
Yeah. Thank you.
And he didn't care how much he had to pay for it. All of us
went to private school. Said, if you tie an interest to it, which is money, people are going to understand.
Yes.
People are going to understand. Yeah. Tell us again what you're championing.
Okay, so
you know it goes so far. You know it goes. You know we got a buzzer, right?
Yeah.
People want you in parliament. So go ahead. What else are you championing?
Yeah, so that's on the education. So that's on infrastructure side. This is also within infrastructure. Another one of the biggest problems that we have is wastewater. You know, wastewater, of course, that's wastewater, also solid waste. You know, that's another area that I've worked in for a long time. But when it comes to the roads, we notice that people are allowed to simply deliver water to roads, and that rainwater is one thing, but water that is a product of our waste is even worse.
Yeah.
You know, but sometimes, you know, we get calls in VROMI all the time. We're like, hey, I believe sewage running through my yard. You know, and then we have to send inspectors out. They have to go and inspect and see if that is actually sewage. And that's another way where we're starting to see bottlenecks within the ministry, you know, because we don't have that capability within the ministry to do so. A lot of the time we used to, whatever samples we got of that water, we had to send it to SLS. And then it's expensive, you know, for government to keep that up. And so one thing that not as soon, but I am looking into right now is how can we start to do like preliminary water analysis in-house, you know, and my uncle could tell you, because of certain biological processes, there are certain chemicals that you may find in water that is wastewater. Yeah. You have things like nitrates and nitrites, you have ammonia, phosphates, and all those kind of things. Is there a possibility for us to do something like that in-house? Yeah. You know, another idea I also have is can we, if there's a presence of human waste in water, because that's what sewage is, you know. Yeah. Is there a way for us to have just one person, environmental engineer or something, working on identifying if they find certain bacteria that would be present in waste, E. coli and all those kind of different things. And that's something I want to put forward to the ministry. So that's another thing
you just went into this ministry lately then.
Yeah. But no, I hit the ground. We all hit the ground running.
What happened to all those that were before you? Did you see?
It's not that,
or is it that you because of your education?
Yes, I do have that unique ability to be able to see these things, see these problems, and see how I could find a solution.
These little things may sound pretty, but they're serious things because they affect your health.
Correct.
That's right. Correct. I want a parliamentarian.
It's expensive.
I want a parliamentarian who would create a law that the citizen of this country could sue the government fast. I would love to sue the government. Listen to me. If we had a law like this, Sint Maarten government will be gone in every instant, because there's so many little things like what you just said. That water issue, you got to ensure that the people drinking proper water.
That's correct,
right?
And if I get sick because of drink, you imagine that's why the United States got so much cold case back up. But then you know what it would do? It would make the government become more conscious, and we can't take a lasso on that again. Let's fix this. Let's fix that. And that's what you know. You're perfectionist. I got to give you the credit. You want to see perfection.
Yes. Or at least we start walking that road towards perfection.
Yeah.
You know. But Billy, I'm gonna tell you, it ain't that difficult to bring government to court.
Ain't that difficult?
No.
VROMI have its fair share of
but the problem
cases.
is that I get too long to get paid. Yes, the payment for when you write, you get paid. I want a smart clean code.
Yeah.
I go in, I sue the government, and when I get paid one. That's it. But listen, if we're gonna bring solution to the country, we gotta bring solution across the board.
Correct.
Because the guy who's gonna vote for you on the 19th, he want to hear what you're gonna do for him.
Yeah, correct.
He want to know how all that we speaking here is nice and dandy, but he's saying that that's gonna take a long time to get to me.
Yeah.
How do you get to the guy now that they're asking to vote for you now in August 19th election?
Well,
how do you trickle down to him? No money in his pocket. He ain't got a job. He ain't got an education. How do you help him?
So, one of the reasons why I'm here today is to try to help you, try to get my message across. You know, Billy, I admire what you do. You understand? Because this power of radio, this power of information,
the power of SOS radio.
Yeah. Well, the power of SOS.
Make the distinction for me. Make the distinction. Make it for me.
Sure.
You know, this is one way that I am planning to reach the people. You know, I'm also out in the communities talking to people face to face. It's difficult to do that right now because I am employed by the government of Sint Maarten. And if it's one thing that I don't like is that when you stop working to campaign.
Yeah.
Okay.
The
people are paying me to work for them.
So you can't stop.
So I can't stop.
But I tell you what, there's a lot of benefit in working in campaigning. Can you still meet people?
Yes. And so I have to meet people.
Yeah.
I have to turn around and meet people that way. You know, but when it comes to being able to uplift those that have been neglected for so long, one of the ways that, you know, Billy, I've always worked since I come back from school. I've always worked 2 jobs, and I don't make minimum wage. I say that straight up.
Yeah,
you understand? I'm working with my Uncle James, in waste management, and then I'm also teaching on the side.
I want to come back on waste management because you say your family working that. What's your plan for the dump in Phillipsburg? And doctor, you know that we don't maybe know, but that dump creating a lot of sickness that we probably don't know. Maybe you could elaborate on that.
Yeah, turning point is on it. So I can tell you.
You've been in waste management with family. What's your plan on the dump? How do we get rid of the dump? We know one solution that Christopher Emmanuel came about and talked a lot about.
Yes. Listen, Billy, the dump. So you know when people turn around and say that you have to get rid of the dump, that is never going to happen. Okay. You're going to always need a landfill.
Yeah. Not there in Phillipsburg.
Not necessarily there in Phillipsburg, and also not to the size and extent that it is right now. Okay, because when one thing that I'm glad that we touch on this right now. Okay, because one of the biggest problems is a people problem when it comes to waste. Okay, yes, government has their faults, putting the dump where it is. And not regulating certain things, but it's also a people problem. Why do I say that it is a people problem? Billy, we consume more than we should. We are wasteful people.
Yeah.
That's something that my grandfather, he never liked. You know, many times he used to bring stuff home from the dump, bring it home into the house. You know, my grandmother would call, she said, Jussie, where you going with this thing here now? I grew up in the house, you know, but we are a wasteful people. One way to start fixing the problems on the dump is to reduce how much we consume. Okay?
We consume in terms of what?
In terms of everything, especially waste that isn't biodegradable. I mean, you can consume as much fruits and vegetables as you want, but that don't end up, and that's not really a problem to the dump.
No.
The problem are the plastics. Plastics can stay in your environment forever.
But that's government now to regulate that, though. That's a government issue.
Yeah, but you can regulate it at home.
And I think that's the biggest thing that government ever brag about in Phillipsburg is pass that plastic bag back.
But Billy, you can regulate that at home.
Yeah.
It is your choice to.
Yeah.
And what you choose to bring into your house and how much you choose to bring in.
Yeah.
You know? But that's another thing.
But
we have to look at what not only the goods that we ingest, but also the type of materials that those goods come in. Because not all those materials are recyclable. Yeah. So even if you want to move from reduction and the next step after that is recycling, the next step after that is reuse. So sometimes you have stuff in your house, so you can keep on reusing it and you throw it out before it has reached to the end of its useful life.
I do that.
Okay? We are all guilty of it. I am guilty of it. Everyone here in Sint Maarten is guilty of it.
So that's what you come back to education. If you
correct.
Teach people how to manage even the refuse. Okay? you are actually helping the government to be able to
Be more
section it,
effective.
and be able to recycle, you know, without spending the money to get it there to the recycling plant.
It is an education program. It is a program that you learn in Holland from a young age.
My problem is you're going for parliament. And I repeat this.
I'm coming to you,
I repeat this about 10 times this week already, well, last week. Parliament is not a university, you know. Parliament is there to legislate and co-legislate. So
I'm coming to you, B.
Everybody's saying we got to, it's education. Where do this education
there is a gentleman right now that's doing really good work in terms of that education training in high school. His name is Mr. Javois. He has the Green Dream program right now operating, and there are a few high schools in Sint Maarten that are on that program, and they're transporting their recyclables over to the French side, for them to be recycled over here. Now that is a private initiative. When it comes to we can look at legislation, and we have to look at legislation. And you know, people don't like to hear the term import ban, you know, but then because there are certain plastics and things that are not recyclable, we have to issue bans on those things through legislation. Correct, through legislation. Correct. Okay, because it doesn't make sense for us to bring them here. We want to start recycling, and we can't recycle those things. Correct. Okay. Another thing,
happen on both sides.
Another thing that eventually is going to have to be legislated to is that, Billy, that on the Dutch side you don't pay anything to manage your waste. Not a cent. It is not. It is not a popular decision.
Correct.
You know, but I am not here to be popular when it comes to certain decision making.
But it's something for the country.
It is something for the country. Nowhere in there are very few places in the world that have this sort of a mechanism where you're not paying anything to take care of waste, whether it is solid waste or your liquid waste. You understand? And that's something that we can legislate.
I want to share something with you guys, though, that when we're talking about education legislation, Sint Maarten today has a number of nationalities in this country that came from a background where they could take a napkin and throw it on the ground. We never used to do that.
No,
we're doing the trend now. So how do we also let the world know that we don't throw garbage on the ground? Well, because Sint Maarten for me has not yet established what we want. We haven't established what it is we want. We have to have that vision plan. Correct. And the direction that we want to see Sint Maarten going in. Exactly. You know, for me, that vision definitely involves having clean streets, having beautiful neighborhoods, and that kind of stuff. But there are going to have to be some hard decisions that we're going to make. You have to hurt people's pockets at times. Yeah, but it's for the betterment of the country. I mean, and your pocket is only going to get hurt if you don't comply. Precisely. If you comply, you get a fine for driving without a license because you didn't comply. You didn't comply. If you have a license, you don't get the fine. Precisely. Simple as that. You understand? And so that's one way that we have to look at the and right now our legislation is lacking with regards to fines for adhering to these environmental problems that we have, you know, but there is room for us to be able to amend those laws. I gotta ask you this, though. This is for you too. You've been in office. We talk about some high-profile issues, environmental. Do we have the specialists in this country to really write down studies on what we want?
Well, you know, I have.
Both are you stop there, boy? Nobody.
No.
Come down. I see both are you like I ain't know what to say there.
For our problem that exists, yes, at the lower level, so primary schools, secondary schools, and stuff like this, I have gone back to my alma maters and got them to come down here and look into and did a study in all the high schools here, got permission from government to do so for not one red cent, okay? Because the government, I did that with regards to behaviors that are detrimental to their upbringing, their health, okay, and safety. We have done that here in the schools. It is long ago now, and we need to update it to know where we are now. We can't be better off if we didn't do anything to correct it.
And that's what I'm saying. You initiated that, but where's the continuity? There's no continuity.
It was taken away from me and placed under government, and now I can't even get a report on what the activities are. So we need to, if government is going to do it and has the ownership, then we need to constantly point the finger to government and say, listen, what is happening there? That's what's supposed to actually happens in Parliament. But if you have private initiatives done by the people who have taken that initiative, then you need to ask them back if you are going to pay into the execution of it for reports every year, every month, or every 6 months with regards to where we are progressing and what we need to progress if we have not progressed, so that we can go forward with these issues. And listen, education is a powerful tool. Why? Because if you teach children what is correct to do, they'll come home and correct their parents.
That's what they wanted. That's what they wanted to get at me.
And you know that I gotta say this, I gotta say this. I have a lot of Indian friends, and their first priority for their children is education.
Oh yes,
number one.
Their first priority. An Indian guy friend of mine, he said, "My first priority is teaching my child what is right and what is wrong."
Correct.
That's right.
And they find the time to do it.
Yeah.
Yep. We don't find the time, but we find excuse.
Yeah.
And you're right. We need to go back to that. It is essential. And I believe that where we are today is a lack of education.
Yeah.
I believe
Guaranteed.
that happens.
Guaranteed.
Let me ask you this, Don Nicholls, you're a candidate. Is this status that we have, is it too expensive for us?
What status you mean?
10-10-10. Is it too expensive for the government of St. Maarten to carry?
That's a good question. Well, I'll say this. If we were better prepared for 10-10-10, I do believe that we've been able to show a situation that we were objectively ill prepared for.
And I believe, and this is why I love your talk. If we know we made a mistake, then let us correct it. But everybody wants to elect it, so we're going straight to the wall again. We're going to hear the same rhetoric, but we got to go back to somewhere where we made a mistake here. Let's go back here.
But I don't necessarily believe that the trajectory that we're on right now with our current status cannot be amended.
Yeah.
You understand? Once, and as you said, what you put into Parliament is what you get out of Parliament.
That's it.
We have a strong Parliament, believe you'll see changes in this country. In all facets.
Every level.
In every level, from
down
up.
guns is going to stop. The drugs is going to. We need a Parliament that reflects the people.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's what we need.
We need a Parliament that also reflects the vision that we want St. Maarten to go in.
That's it.
If we don't have that, then we'll keep on, according to my grandfather, spinning top in mud.
Yeah. And there was a time, and Doc, you know this better than me, where every Caribbean island look at us as the big boys.
Yeah.
Today, we are going to different Caribbean as a beg for advice.
But
on how to do things.
Yeah. But we should have been with them from the very beginning.
We should have been with them, but
because listen, St. Maarten has taken on an economy. A part of its economy is actually transshipment and selling to our neighbors.
Correct.
Because of our tax situation and stuff like this.
Correct.
One of the projects I was championing here. Okay? And in short, even though we didn't get eight votes on it, it was still sent to Holland, and the minister there at the time sent back a letter to us within 2 weeks, to tell us that he would help us champion that transshipment and being a center for distribution of goods and stuff like this in the Northeastern Caribbean. All right?
This is goods coming from South America. Fruits, vegetables, and all that kind of different stuff,
Yeah. Okay. Well, we had a group of people that started a sale of fruits, Jerusalem, and it was going good. It started up good.
Some people ran from me, and I could see the fruits all over the island.
Yeah.
Okay. But why can't we be the entrepreneurs?
Yeah.
Why can't we? Okay, even though we buying it abroad, be the ones who accept them here
and
resell them.
Correct.
Why it has to be the person who comes from there to be able to do it?
I am hoping, Nicholls, and I hoping that we are not trying to reinvent the wheel.
No.
And I hope
we can't afford it.
PFP is not trying to reinvent the wheel.
But believe if you look at PFP, you notice that we are completely different wheel.
Yeah.
From since the beginning till now.
That's the structure.
We've always operated differently from all the other parties.
I must agree. I didn't agree with a lot of things, but it working. So
something
is working.
But it is also. But you see, if you want to stand out in a crowd, you have to be different. Yeah. You have to show St. Maarten.
But you know what? You know what I want
different from the others.
What I want from you in your party. What I read, because I've seen a party of opposition. I've seen PFP opposition, and you were even called the party not for progress. But what is it that you're standing for today that you would make a change on as you an individual and a party?
Yeah. So
now, your education program,
yeah,
100%.
Let's touch on that party not for progress statement. Because I know exactly where that statement comes from.
Durant.
Okay, it comes from him,
Durant
and it comes from the fact that we aren't as quick to allow certain big developers to do as they please here in Sint Maarten.
Correct.
Okay. Here's my question: how do you measure progress? How is progress measured here in Sint Maarten? Because if progress can only be measured by those whose pockets are long, then that is not actual progress.
Correct.
So when we're looking at developing this country, we want to develop it in a sustainable manner. Yeah. All the problems that we have with flood and all the problems that we have with our roads is because we didn't develop sustainably. Listen, our family is part of the development of this country. We did not hear that big boom when Sint Maarten had that boom in Sint Maarten. We did a lot of the construction there. But now it's time for us to sit back and take stock of where we are and where we want to go. Okay? Where we're heading right now, Billy, is trouble. Okay? You're going to reach us, you're going to see a Sint Maarten that have not one tree in the hills. You're going to reach a Sint Maarten where you can't drive forward, you can't drive by. As soon as you reach out your door, you're in a traffic jam.
I'm afraid you don't see a Sint Maarten going to break down soon from the hills.
Precisely. That's another thing. Okay? Because the way we excavate now is causing problems for others.
Correct.
We have a situation up in Mary's Fancy where that's happening right now. One person has excavated their land. You have four other houses that being on the
money. You know what bothers me with that? Because when you ask question about that, the experts said it was good to do. Who's the experts?
I don't.
Who are these experts?
Because when I talk to the experts, I know.
Yeah.
And I look at what I know when it comes to cutting land and all that kind of stuff. You could see that an expert didn't even look at this.
Yeah.
You can't call that person an expert. So this is what PFP is talking about: sustainable development.
Yeah.
Being able to have something for my son, his son, and everybody else behind him.
Yeah. They were said that your leader was totally against a housing development project. By Jorindy, he said Melissa was totally against the housing development project. And that I asked myself, how could you be against a housing development project?
No, we are not.
I'm telling you, man, I get all the hits.
We are definitely not against a housing development project, especially when it comes to social housing, because we are in desperate need of that project. Listen, the money wasn't necessarily coming out of government coffers either.
Yeah.
Okay, I came through the World Bank. The problem is, with so many projects that we have tried to execute here in Sint Maarten, we always find a way to be behind time. We always find a way that we can't be on schedule when it comes to our deliverables.
Hospital,
every
airport,
single project.
You
look at Dutch Quart is years behind time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm not saying what is happening in Dutch Quart is, but as a government, they should have seen that coming, because it's Dutch Quart today. It's gonna be another community tomorrow. Nothing is being done concrete. And you just said something. Let's open computer centers.
Yes.
Let's put our children in technology, tie it to something so they could understand there is a better way. For right now, there's no other way.
Yeah. Right now, yeah.
There's no other way.
Precisely.
And let me tell you what is sad, and what is very sad. And I'm gonna have a conversation with the Electoral Council in Pittsburgh. Do you know the Electoral Council could control all those billboards that are out there? On our side.
Okay.
Government tell you what size you could make your picture.
Okay, yes, you have that good guidelines.
They tell you where to put your picture.
Right, exactly.
Right.
So, but it didn't even exist when we went in 10-10-10.
Good.
They're like electoral council was not a legal.
It wasn't
entity.
established. It wasn't established in 10-10-10.
So when I hear people talk about the billboard, is the Electoral Council who's supposed to regulate that?
Exactly.
It's there.
Yeah.
So we still gotta, like you say, it seems like everybody gets a little touch on something and leave it go. Leave it go. And then we look like a barbaric country.
Correct. Correct. So we need to pull it together. Okay?
And you think the PFP is a party that can pull it together?
I guarantee you that we're a party that could pull it together.
Yeah.
Guarantee.
All right, well, let's hear you. Let's hear the party. Again, I love your conversation. I think your stance on education, on that, what is it, Dream?
STEAM.
I gotta write that up. STEAM, STEAM. And it says,
Just remember the kettle.
Science, Science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics.
if we get this together, then we got steam up the plate.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
Because why vote for you, Nicholls? Let's go on you a little bit everywhere, and then I'm trying.
Okay. Why vote for Luciano Lloyd Nicholls? So I am not only capable, I have a unique ability, Billy, where I am that right now in the party, I am that link between blue collar work and white collar work. I have done both. I have done both.
Yeah.
Okay, Billy, I could go today and I'll pull down an engine for you because I also drag race.
Okay.
Okay, I could pull on.
If you didn't say that, then James in your own.
Exactly. You know, I'm walking by him, you know, and so I've gotten, I can.
And talking about drag race, I mean, when are we some party gonna say let's build a place for that, because that was an economy.
Of course. Sports economy, sports tourism, there's education tourism, there's many different things that we should be looking at. Definitely.
Go to Nevis.
Yeah, I've gone to Nevis. I've raced in Nevis. I've been to Antigua as crew chief. You know, when is it going to happen here? I would love to say that I will be the one to do it. But I want to focus on education first.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something I've told my uncle. You understand? That's something I've told the family. You know, once we can, because I don't want to turn around and say I'm going to focus on drag racing when my children can't read and write and they can't count. Foundation first.
I got you.
Foundation first.
At least they got to read the meter of the car when they're going.
Right.
To read something.
You know, but what I'm saying is that I have that ability. I could handle a wrench, I could handle a calculator. So I am that link in between those two different worlds for the party.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm not afraid to attack problems head on. Okay?
Well, if you're in physics, man, you got to be good.
You have to be good at problem solving and critical thinking. And those are attributes that I possess.
I got to say, you're the second physics technician I knew in Sint Maarten. I don't know if you heard Jamie Van Dyke.
No.
Yeah, he didn't like mathematics at all. Today he's one of the biggest teachers in physics and math. But you're the second one I'm hearing. And you know, I am happy when I hear that we still got that kind of tool, a person like you in this country. We have because we don't need to import that anymore.
No. And I am also looking at furthering my studies eventually. I've been accepted to start my master's degree in environmental engineering.
Wow.
Okay, because and that's just me looking at Sint Maarten and seeing what Sint Maarten needs.
Correct.
You know, and so I want to be, you know, I want to be one of the people that can say, okay, this is what Sint Maarten needs. This is what I'm going to go into to see how I can push Sint Maarten forward.
Yeah. Hey, boy, I got you. I get my belly full here. Doc, you got the future, man. You should be proud. That's your sister, son.
Yes.
You should be proud.
That's why I don't carry Richardson.
Yeah, I don't figure that already long time. I don't figure that, but you should be proud, Doc, too. And Doc, this is you're supporting in every 100%.
Oh yes. I rushed back here on Saturday, you know, to make sure that he's well supported here, you know, because there's another aspect of this. We spend money educating people and don't assure that they return to this island to give back.
Yeah.
Okay. Not only to earn money, but also to give back.
Yeah.
You know, my children are basically well established where they are, but they all try to get work here.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It might be that some of them have pushed themselves outside the realm of Sint Maarten.
Correct.
Yeah. You know, but
I'm gonna tell you what, though, because of our lack of vision in Sint Maarten, a lot of our children don't even think about coming back because they don't see the vision. They don't see where they fit home.
We must create a home for them.
We
have to create a home.
And if we got to create what you call the new Sint Maarten for them, let's create it.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's create it, because when I see 2024 that we still import somebody to run our hospital, when I see we run somebody to run our airport, I ask myself, but we did that before. We had, and you know, Leopold James is one that taught me something. Leopold James was the principal of Metal Peters College.
That's right.
Why is it today Sint Maarten? You know, where did we go wrong? What happened? But I'll tell you though, we got to, and I hope that you could understand this. We got to throw away the ego. We got to throw away the jealousy. There's a whole heap of thing that has to stop.
Yeah, what you said there is very true, and I had to kind of adopt that sort of decorum.
Correct.
To not criticize to pull down and to destroy, but criticize to build.
Correct.
Yes. Okay. So somebody must not feel insulted when you correct them.
No, you mustn't feel insulted.
Okay, yeah. And I'm not criticizing you or giving you advice to the point where you feel, well, look, it's all lost, and go and do something that would land you up in jail or anything like this. You must build, okay? Your teachers tell you certain things sometimes that are not very encouraging, but you must be able to see the end of it or where they're trying to get you.
Correct. And that you're the prime example of come from a poor family and become a doctor. It is possible.
Yes, that's right.
And that's what we got to put in our children's head. And parents got to stand 100% behind it.
Let me tell you something about my
father. The whole thing.
Let me tell you one thing here about my father, okay? My father sent us to school and many others, okay? And there were times that he didn't have money to pay for them. And when he hear about, okay, they're not in school, no, they're not matriculated because there was no money. You think my father went and looked for money from the bank he went to the school. You know what he told them? Why aren't these children in school? They told him, go on the computer, you know, and they tell him, well, you know, they owe the tuition. He says, well, I am responsible for the tuition. Now you go in your computer and find out how long I have been supporting this university and check and see if you got your money. They went in, they look at it, they said, Mr. Richardson, we're going to matriculate them tomorrow,
and that's it.
And that's it. You pay when you could, because you have
just brought up something, the school fee. That school fee thing that we do, would you remove it?
Well, school fee is only for private schools.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
It's not for...
No, it is not.
So why do we talk so much about school fee then?
Because we have a lot of private schools. when we look at high schools,
why do we have so much of private schools?
So government high school. The only government high school is the Sint Maarten Vocational Training School.
Correct.
That's the only true government. All of them are government subsidized.
Yeah.
Which means that they're not directly run by government. They have school boards. And if you have school boards, that's a private school. Yeah. Another.
Why do we have so much private school in Sint Maarten though?
Well, that would have to be from the history. You know, we never had really that government high school. And so people took on that mantle of creating that secondary education for our children. And a lot of it is religious based.
Do we have local owned private school?
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Catholic school is local owned. You know, that's
owned by the Catholic.
Yeah, but I mean
still owned by me.
And then you have Svoba, so which is St. Peter's, which is Sundial. Those are basically local institutions as well.
Correct.
St. Maarten, all of them, just about all of them are Methodist, all of them are local, you know, all of them are local. You know, but government does need to have a high school that can compete with those schools as well.
Yeah, because anybody who's independent can fail you.
Yeah.
And then your responsibility of educating your population and stuff like that is null and void, because you have never tried to really conquer that particular problem.
Correct.
You have always depended on certain independent entities to solve that problem for you. Right. While in Aruba and Curacao, it was totally different.
When you leave from here with your diploma, or whatever you graduated, you go to Harlem, for example, do you have to prove who you are again by passing the next exam? Or that's it? Is the same diploma recognized in Harlem?
Correct, same diploma.
Okay.
Because we all do the same exam too.
Okay.
The whole kingdom does the same exam on the same day at the same time.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Nicole, again. So you say you're candidate number...
I'm candidate number 5.
Number 5?
Oh, yes.
On the PFPC.
On the PFPC.
All right. I hope I could talk to you again, whether it's before or after election.
Definitely. We need to have a few more sit-downs.
We need to stay on that education thing.
Correct.
and that family tie. Yeah. Because, you know, in a lot, I try to explain, my children must be smarter than me.
That's right. That's what my father
Thank you. Thank you.
Then you serve your
Then you haven't done what you're supposed to.
Now he's a doctor, so you know that's a high level.
Right.
Imagine
he set the bar high.
I don't know what they can become now.
Yeah.
No, our children have to be. We got to put that.
You must aspire for your children to be better than you.
And you know, I had a conversation this morning with a young man, and it's still bothering me. I'll tell you about it. I had a conversation with the youth president of Parliament this morning.
Mm-hmm.
He said he wrote a letter to Duran, to Samuel, and to Richardson, all 3 ministers, on different issues that the youth parliament was saying in Sint Maarten that they would like to address. He said they never got an answer. I'll be honest with you guys, that hurt me.
That's very hurtful.
Listen.
I supported them a whole lot.
No, it is, and I've got to question these ministers on how could you get a letter from the youth Parliament, president, and don't answer that.
That's
sad.
It is very sad.
Those are the ones that have to come up and vote for you after too.
It is very sad.
Yep.
All right, let's see what the people are saying. You got some good reaction here. The doctor ain't helped you. Tell me the truth. The doctor I gotta say, look, I got people laughing here and give you a thumbs up. But the doctor ain't helped you. He's just your uncle in this one. But keep the good.
I stand up.
You got